Hello students, this is another video from SNEHA'S biology. In this video I am going to explain you about phloem transport. So phloem transport means that is nothing but translocation of sugars. Translocation of sugars from source to sink. So translocation of sugars from source to sink is called as phloem transport. So as we all know that phloem within the plant is associated with the transportation of food materials. Phloem is associated with the transportation of food materials. Within the plants, the food materials are prepared in leaves by a process which is called as photosynthesis. So as food is prepared in leaves of plant, these are called as sources of plant. And the part of the plant where the food is needed or where the food is stored. So where the food is needed or where the food is stored are called as sink areas. So the translocation of food materials or sugars from source to sink is called as phloem transport. So to explain this transportation, Munch proposed an hypothesis which is called as pressure flow hypothesis. So to explain translocation of sugars from source to sink, Munch proposed pressure flow hypothesis. So according to this pressure flow hypothesis, the food which is prepared in leaves, that is glucose, is converted into sucrose and then it is entered into the phloem at source. So glucose is converted into sucrose and then entered into the phloem. Actually, initially into the companion cells and finally into the sieve tube elements of phloem. So whenever the food is entered into phloem at source, within the phloem hypertonic conditions are developed. Hypertonic conditions. So hypertonic conditions means high concentration conditions. High concentrations. At the same time, within the xylem we have low concentration. So due to the entry of food materials, high concentration is established within the phloem, and at the same time we have low concentration in xylem. So due to the difference in concentration between xylem and phloem, water from the xylem enters into phloem by a process that is osmosis. Due to the difference in concentration, water from the xylem enters into phloem by osmosis. So as water entered into phloem by osmosis, it creates some pressure within the phloem which is called as osmotic pressure. So as a result, high osmotic pressure is created within the phloem. That high osmotic pressure within the phloem pushes food into low osmotic pressure areas. Low osmotic pressure areas are nothing but sink areas. So sink areas are always with low osmotic pressure, whereas within the phloem at source area, high osmotic pressure is established due to the entry of water by osmosis. So due to high osmotic pressure, that pressure pushes food into the low osmotic pressure area or sink areas. At sink areas, the food is unloaded into sink areas. As a result, within the phloem, low concentration is established, and in xylem we have high concentration. So again, due to the difference in concentration between phloem and xylem, water from the phloem re-entered into xylem. Water from the phloem is re-entered into xylem. So the export of food material into the phloem at source areas and the import of food materials from the phloem at sink areas are always through active process. Active process means the export or import of food materials into the phloem or from the phloem always utilizes energy in the form of ATP. That's why they are said to be, means export and imports are said to be as active process. So this is about the phloem transport from the source to sink area, that is mainly due to the difference between osmotic pressure at source as well as at sink. So that Munch proposed pressure flow hypothesis to explain this phloem transport. So thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe my channel SNEHA'S Biology. Thank you.